Welcome everyone, Costin here with a quick discussion about the Empire in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires now that patch 2.2 has come out. Is the Empire finally playable? Have the issues been fixed? Well, yes and no, and they've created more issues on top of the ones that already existed. So Imperial Authority is still as bad as ever, Prestige is as bad as ever, that hasn't changed. They have made some changes to Karl Franz himself in his skill line over here. Some fairly nice changes actually. They've given him replenishment in neutral territory, which is, among other things, item changes, all that, but they've given him replenishment in neutral territory. So that helps him a great deal in terms of going around the Empire to put out the fires that are happening, keep the Empire together. They've also made certain changes to the way that the electric counts work and the Imperial Authority works. Basically, now the capitals matter more than ever because those are the ones that are going to dictate whether or not you keep or lose Imperial Authority, as opposed to just an electric count being wiped out. So if like an electric count loses his capital, you are going to be in trouble when it comes to Imperial Authority. Here's the issue, however. Your interaction with electoral counts is still very limited. You do have the option of asking them to join the war, but good luck with getting that to happen. And the electoral counts, if they end up in a war, they tend to be pretty active in it, and they tend to be smarter at the moment. But actually getting them into a war is going to be an issue because they're neutral factions towards you, right? They're not your military allies, because it feels like when it comes to AI behavior that defensive allies and military allies tend to be more hard-coded in terms of helping you out in terms of fighting various enemies. You also lack the allegiance system, so you can't just tell any of these guys to go help you out against any of the factions you're at war with, which is a pretty significant issue. What is especially frustrating with the Empire when you look at it is that the allegiance system would just work really, really well with them. Like, just throw away the entire Imperial Authority system, give us full diplomatic options with the exception of Confederation, have us play the diplomatic game with the Empire. I mean, what's the point of all the improvements in diplomacy that have been made in Warhammer 3 if we can't use them for one of the factions that would benefit the most from actually having them? Hell, I could make the argument about the High Elves as well, that the way right now you play as either Alariel or Tyrion, where it's like you declare war on Safri, Alarion and Tyrannoc are fighting each other, is a bit silly. And maybe they should also be locked in something like that, where they don't just instantly confederate or take over territory, they actually have to work for it. That could work. I feel that would fit within the political system of both the High Elves and the Empire. But the problem is, for whatever reason, Creative Assembly at the moment is unwilling to change the system. So we're stuck with a pretty broken system for the Empire that is completely outdated. And we have a system in the game as is that has been created for Warhammer 3 that would be vastly superior to use for this very purpose. That's the mind-boggling issue as far as I see it. It's like, why do we have these limitations in diplomacy when we have a great diplomatic system that Creative Assembly themselves have built in this game? I don't understand it. I can't comprehend why they refuse to change that. You can't, it's like, well, we don't know how it would work. Like, worry about balancing it later. It's not like the game is perfectly balanced as is right now. Worry about balancing it later. Just add it. It would be such a major quality of life change. Now, that being said, are there improvements to the Empire? Yes, but not because of any direct changes, but rather because of indirect changes to the Empire. So, several things. Minor settlement battles no longer really exist unless units have garrisons. This is in particular very useful for Karl Franz, especially early on, because it means he'll be able to use his full power on an open battlefield. Minor settlement battles could just be annoying. There is, of course, a downside when you're, say, fighting someone like Festus and you've gotten cornered in a settlement and he deploys his full power on an open battlefield. But overall, I'd say it's a major improvement to have the removal of minor settlement battles. Then there's the changes to the AI. The electric counts in Immortal Empires became quickly infamous for their really poor decision making that got them killed, made it a nightmare to deal with, especially with the limited diplomatic system that you do have with it. That made the frustration of dealing with such of a limited diplomatic system even more worse than it was, because they would just get themselves killed, they would not achieve anything. But now they actually are far, far more competent. Maybe it's just something I've seen, especially when I was playing as a non-Imperial faction, but it feels like when you're playing a non-Imperial faction, they're using the regular diplomatic system as opposed to the Imperial authority bullshit, and they actually end up being far more effective. Festus, for instance, got wiped out by the Empire, purely by the Empire, in my Catherine campaign, as an example. Now here I did have to deal with him on my own, but I think like Talabeclan, Middle, and all that would have kept him contained. Like the electric counts just seem to be somewhat more useful, not a lot more useful, and you do still have a lot of limitations when it comes to it. And Ostermark is in deep trouble. Averland actually got wiped out by the dwarves here in this particular campaign for whatever reason. But yeah, the changes to AI aggression and changes to AI behavior and changes to the way the AI treats things in general will help things a lot for you if you're playing as Karl Franz or Balthazar Gelt. There is, of course, the elephant in the room that exists for me. Personally. Now, I'm not sure if this is that's something that's happened because of us just once, or in this particular campaign, as in once for one single campaign, if it would happen again, but confederations are not working right now for me. So I've got 10 fealty with Gelt. I haven't gotten the event. I've got 10 fealty with Ostermark. Haven't gotten the event. And right now it does seem like a lot of the Imperial events just aren't working, flat out not working at the moment, which is a pretty big problem as far as I see it. So like, I've gotten some Imperial events, but then they kind of stopped happening. It happened about the same time that I took out Festus, really, that it happened, because I didn't give this territory to Hockland back. I gave it to Midland. I was kind of looking to cheese the Imperial Authority by giving it and triggering an event, but it didn't. Now, I think there might be something to do with, it might have something to do also with some of the things they mentioned in the patch notes, that you can force a confederation before the turn limit. And like, they wanted to change the way confederations worked, and so they've made it so you won't get the event to confederate until you've the debuff has gone away, basically. But it feels to me that they might have broken confederations to begin with, or in general the Imperial events, like, they're not working anymore for me in this campaign. They worked for a bit and then they just stopped working. So right now there are some really nasty bugs currently with the Imperial campaign, and that means it's no longer a playable campaign. It's even worse than it was before, because yeah, before it was a tedious, broken piece of crap, but you could make it work, don't get me wrong. But now, if you can't confederate, it means you can't take the Imperial territory. It means you genuinely can't win the campaign, because you need, for a line campaign victory, you need the Imperial territory, and it needs to be under your control. It can't be an electric count control. And so confederations are not working for me. Let me know how it is for you guys, for anyone that's playing the Empire right now, for trying to play a Karl Franz campaign or a Balthazar Gelt campaign. Let me know if it was working for you, or if you're encountering the same issue. I've tried it with mods, I've tried it without mods. The mods didn't cause any issues. Like, I'm using the exact same mods as I was using pre-patch. I disabled them, though, at the moment. But I was using the exact same mods, but even without mods, it's still not firing up. The event's still not firing up. So it might have to do with my decision making that I undertook right here, because I was trying to cheese the Imperial Authority to get a bit of more, right? Because basically, when a different elector count gets territory, an event's supposed to fire up where they either return it or they keep it, and you're supposed to get Imperial Authority. Also, I had such events popping off earlier in the campaign, but sometimes I got Imperial Authority, and other times I didn't get Imperial Authority. Also, I'm getting Imperial Authority at what feels like random points through the campaign at the moment. So yeah, just a bunch of weird stuff happening, a lot of bugs currently with the system. If this is not just for me, if this becomes widespread, then they've completely broken Karl Franz and Balthazar Gelt. Their campaigns are simply not workable right now, if this is true. If it's just a one-off thing for me personally, then you know, things happen, especially in a patch. Though I think that they might need to hotfix some things very quickly for the Empire if these issues do hold up. We'll see. But anyway, that's all I had to say. I think if they fix the issues of confederations and all that, the Empire is going to be in a better state, just largely because of the AI changes, but the Imperial Authority system just sucks. Plain and simple. The Prestige and Imperial Authority system, the dilemmas, all that, they're not good, really. I mean, the dilemmas could be fine. You know, Prestige, okay, we can take it, but I think, you know, you just end up in a situation in your campaign where you've got a lot of Prestige and you got nothing to spend it on, really. Because, like, what are you going to do with it, really? Like, look at it. I'm at 120... I'm at almost 10,000 prestige, and I have nothing to really spend it on, and there lies the situation when it comes to the problems that, you know, the prestige is pointless, Imperial Authority is outdated, diplomacy is broken, and the whole game, the whole Confederation and Electrocount system might be broken in its entirety. We'll see. But anyway, that's all I had to say. Costin signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.